I'm Sandeep Nair. I'm the co-founder and CEO of VENTTUP Ventures Private Limited. We are focusing on sustainable manufacturing. So we talked about smart manufacturing. We talked about deep tech, how it is rising in India. So who is helping the supply chain involved in this deep tech? So we enable indigenization and localization of critical sub-assembly components from India. Why do we wanted to focus on localization? So we know various geopolitical tension, the supply chain disruption after COVID-19, the tariff war currently is going on. So these all are driving for a global localization, country-specific supply chain resilience. India as a country, how the economic is developed and the heavy infrastructure is developing. And more importantly, the strategic autonomy, how our defense segment, electronic segment is growing. So localization is not at all an option at all in India. It's rather a strategic imperative. And we require a self-resilience supply chain within the country for heavy infrastructure. So how do this comes as a pain point? Like we know that the larger enterprises, they wanted to do many components to be manufactured in India. They wanted to develop the components in India. However, there are a lot of challenges involved in that. The components which may have imported from Europe or imported from China or US, which has a lack of standardization. They don't have the specification involved there. They don't have the drawings involved there. So time taking to develop these components within India is a task. Also, various components need to be localized, but wanted to engage with many MSME manufacturers, wanted to empower them on the R&D efforts to localize these things. So that is also coming as a complex on the demand side. That is the larger enterprises. Coming to the manufacturers, we know a lot of very good manufacturers are there in India, right from Kolkata to Coimbatore. They have the capability to manufacture, but the team is very small. They can't put their resources more into the R&D space and all. So comparing this, localization is a complex project management, and we are addressing that. So India, as a country, how manufacturing ecosystem is growing, we know India for India is the initial step with various policies the government of India is issuing. And also India for Global as the next step in the key segments like renewable, aerospace, defense, and energy segments. So VENTTUP is an engineering company. We focus more on the R&D and new part developments. How do we act as a one-stop solution for localization requirement for a company? We act as a manufacturing as a service company. We help the MSMEs to grow with larger opportunity with resource sharing our resources, our technology to make the product happen in their factory. So I'm Sandeep Nair, co-founder and CEO of the company with 17 years of experience in industry. I worked in companies like Siemens, Hitachi, and L&T. I worked in various extra high voltage energy projects throughout in India. I set up a new factory for Hitachi as part of localization in India from Sweden to Chennai. And 2023, I left corporate and started building VENTTUP. Along with me, Wasim and Joseph joined in the team. Both are having a similar experience in the companies like L&T and business consulting areas. So how do we do localization? So our main business line is more into the manufacturing and the sourcing side. So manufacturing, it's a mix of things like right from the designing side, the reverse engineering. Somebody wanted to develop a product, but they don't have the drawing involved in this. So how to make a drawing out of that? How to find out what is the material composition involved in that? So we use 3D scanning. We use different software to analyze the drawings, come back with the drawings and finding out what is the material composition involved. Then as a next step, we will go as a prototype development. We'll develop the prototype, we'll do the testing, depends upon the complexity of that component. And then we go with the contract manufacturing of that. So I'm not getting into too much details, but I will just explain on these slides the gate process. So we know in software, in SaaS and all this Scrum methodology, Agile methodology, we are seeing how to be a smart software development happens. Similar in manufacturing, to become a smart manufacturing, we need to adopt gate process, which is there in the system already, but how many companies are adopting this? So we follow the gate 0 to gate 7. So gate 0 is we will listen to the customer what kind of a component they wanted to localize. Either it may be a casting item, machining item, an electromechanical component, a special purpose machine. Then we will look into the possibility whether we can localize it from India, whether we have the technology available here, whether we have the raw material available here. So then only we will analyze that, okay, it's possible. The risk is there, but India has the capability to do. Then we slowly move to the gate 1, where we will do all the risk assessment, project management and all. Then we'll go for a prototype development. It has to be tested in different laboratories like TUV, SEMIR or CPRIs kind of laboratories in India. Then we need to certify is for mass production. So how do we VENTTUP support through this entire phase of development? We have our in-house engineering team, design, project management, supply chain, and sourcing and quality team. However, we are partnering with the MSME who has an ambition to make a new product in India, who has some machineries capable with him, which is maybe underutilized. So these kind of things we will evaluate with the contract manufacturer, and we will make the product happen as per our SOP. We help companies on the sourcing side as well. So one of our main business line is on the sourcing side. So predominantly where the tail spend items, we know that the 80-20 rule in the procurement, 80% of the major components will come from big OEMs and 20% is very scattered. So we act as an aggregator to source that. Why we wanted to select this as a business unit, like it's not only we have the capability on sourcing, but also localization is very critical. A 2-year-old company cannot easily enter into the market very soon. So this, as a GTM strategy, we have taken as a sourcing to enter into a company's database, and then we will get into pitching our more capabilities on the localization side. 2023, we started operations. We are headquarters in Bangalore. We are 13 members of a team, 50 plus customers we have onboarded, 100 plus manufacturer partners we have onboarded. This year, we are touching an 8 crore of revenue. By end of March, we may touch, already we have touched 8 crore. End of March, we may touched 11 crore. I'll skip some of the slides. Within this 2-year span, we onboarded this much customers, including renewable energy, including defense, including oil and gas and all. We are helping various companies to develop some of the prototype. As a case example, like Adani Kutch Copper in Mundra, we are developing many components which has been imported from Italy without any drawing, without any specification. We did the reverse engineering and we are doing the prototype manufacturing on that side. On the sustainable aspect, like we know manufacturers are very good in making the product. The big companies are making the ESG audits and giving the rating to them that, yeah, your ESG score is low. You need to improve the score. Who will handhold? When we are helping the customer to localize where they can reduce the scope 3 emission by reducing the import, at the same time, when we are onboarding an MSME, how we can support him to handhold to implement more sustainable measures. It could be a smart grid setup in their factory. It could be a water resource setup in their factory. So in whatever way we can handhold the MSME, which we are selecting a contract manufacturer, we are helping in that aspect as well.